Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 Last Days of Europe with me, Alpha Omega, and Greater Germanic Reich. So in the last episode we have finished a couple of the things, a couple of the things in the Waffe tree, but then we turned back into finishing the tree of economy, what do you want to call it. We're working on the guiding hand now, which is going to boost our GDP growth, hopefully, and the GDP growth of our vassals. So, vassals, puppets, client states, whatever you want to call them. I'm really hoping that they are going to benefit from this, because we really need to pull them up. Propaganda campaign ended, that is fine. We can now start education investment. So let's do that. That is always pretty good. Anything else? Quarterly budget update. Okay, that's not an issue for us. We are, though, poverty reducing initiative. Okay. And tradesmanship. We definitely need to do that. I'm really interested what that poverty rate decrease will skyrocket means when we finish the Made in Germany. But I'm looking forward to it either way. The GDP is growing nicely, and the debt to GDP has dropped to 80.1. So we're gonna see if this month we'll be able to lower it sub 79. I mean, we have a 11.52% real GDP growth, and deficit slightly above 6.86. So the 5% should be enough to maybe push us down under 79%. But we'll see. We shall see. We also modeled the new mechanized division in the last episode, but we still need 25 army experience points to do that one. We've gained some ships, so that was pretty good. I think we're pretty good. Okay, total trade again seems to be at 0. The game just doesn't seem to be doing all that good with this. But hey, the GDP per capita, you can see that it started somewhere around 1650. Went to about 1800, then dropped slightly above 1500, and now it's closing to 2500. And we got the nuclear reactor. Nice. For our beautiful carriers. So that's something that we want to do. And I think we were talking about the destroyer and the frigates, right? How many bonuses do we have? 105 days. I think it might be good to start with the destroyer. The 1970 depth charges. No, that's cost. That's a cruiser. 1970 missile cruiser. Those are way better. Even the anti-air. Production cost. Heavy piercing. Well, the next one is in a decade. So let's start by... the frigates are going to be the sub-hunters. So let's start with the frigate. Equipped with both the means to fight threats from over and under the seas, the frigates of the 70s have essentially become ocean escorts. Ocean warfare ships bigger than a corvette, but smaller than a destroyer. Yep. Let's start with that one, because we need to put them into prominence. And we can unlock another air doctrine. Pop-up attacks, helicopter defense plus 5% and heart attack plus 10. Cool. Pop-up attack. In the face of ever-advancing anti-aircraft weapon systems, our pilots must use tactics which minimize the risk of being successfully targeted by hostile ground units. The so-called pop-up attack run does precisely this, while also ensuring maximum probability of successful payload delivery. Cool. Let's do that, and now let us design the new aircraft carrier. So we have the Adler class, and now we're gonna get the advanced carrier hull, which is the newest one. It's looking really nice. So actually what we want to do here is simple. I'm gonna show you what the current carrier looks like, and we're gonna take it from there. So the design of the one that we have is it has a deck belt, then it has two custom. Wait, what is it? The module? Oh, that's a module slot. Okay, two standard hangar spaces here and two hangar spaces here. And the new one has, the advanced carrier has an extra slot here. So basically we're gonna keep everything the same, we're just gonna increase the deck size by 20. That was the plan from the very beginning. I'm sorry about the confusing explanation, that was really way easier to say than I made it up to be. Okay, so I'm gonna get a deck armor here, and 1, 2, 3, and not this one but hangar space here. You got anti-air, but we're gonna actually give you the surface-to-air missiles. You can get radar 2, and you are not gonna get the carrier engine, you're gonna get carrier nuclear reactor, which is gonna significantly increase your cost, but fuel usage is gonna go down and the speed is gonna go up significantly. And we're gonna improve the secondary batteries as well. Cool, advanced carrier. And we're gonna call this one Germania. Let's call this Burger Creek class. Burger Creek class. 44 XP. And what we're gonna do here, okay, we're making 2 Adler class refits. Actually gonna stop all of these productions, and we are gonna start the building 4 new aircraft carriers once we're done with these. Actually, I think already shuttle those. 1, 1, 1, and 1. So in the end we're gonna have 4 Adler class refits and 4 Burger class. Cool, that makes sense, I guess, for the modern navy. And we're gonna disband some of the battleships and the older carriers, because no need to have that many of them, especially if we're gonna have the newer ones. So now 62 XP, the mechanized division. I actually think I'm gonna start changing it right now, so that we don't forget. We wanted the APCs and I wanted the AFVs here as well, like so. So that's 45. I wanted to add the guiding hand. Is it light armored recon? That's the armored car, right? Yeah. Yep, that's the armored car recon, and that's about it. I can't add anything else for now. Okay, so the guiding hand has been done, and now we can go with Europe's dream. The sulfur iron has the foundation. The sulfur iron has the foundation it needs to succeed. Now it is time for Germany to loosen its grip and take a step back. If this is to be a truly pan-European project, member states must have the ability to make their own mark on it. Maintaining its original purely German nature will harm international relations in the long term, which sits ill with both my conscience and my good sense. Many of the rights and privileges granted to our junior partners will be relatively insignificant in nature, of course. There are many burdens that come with economic freedom, and only we are in a position to bear them at this time. It will be difficult for our people, as they prosper, to cede more control to the rest of the Sovereign in the future, but I have a faith that our institution will make it happen. So we get an event, the Europe's Dream. Regime stability will drop by 10%. Reformist cause will strongly benefit. We're gonna pay 1.5 billion. But many of our... Actually, 5 of our... member states. So let's start calling them member states. We'll get administrative offices, increases immigration, skilled labor only policy effectiveness. Our member states, Poland, Ukrainian Republic, Military Business Crusade, and 3 others will increase their GDP growth by 0.6, highly increase trade war, strategic tariffs, policy effectiveness, and our poverty rate improvement will skyrocket. Okay, we need that skyrocketing right about now. And these payments, yeah, they're devastating our debt. We're not gonna drop by much. Deficit is increasing as well. Not a good time. But hey, the new main battle tank is gonna be ready soon. And we are spending our XP like crazy. That's not going the right way. Oh well. Oh! Look at Africa. Cameroonian African state. Oh, they're still at war. Niger is over here. It should be way more to the east. Malian state. Cameroon has 50 divisions, Jesus. The French are nowhere to be seen, they have been completely eliminated. Futa-Fuba, Guinea, Liberia, yeah. Wow, France is a bloodbath. Oh hell. Well, we'll see how it's gonna progress. Civilian investment will be done in 2 days. Okay, and we haven't looked... Okay, yeah. Zanu Zimbabwe, let's... yeah, they're winning this conflict. 5 and 6. Yeah, they managed to eliminate one of the division here. Can we hurt them somehow? We've successfully built the network here. Make resistance strengthen resistance, sabotage industry, sabotage infrastructure. Okay. Commands fund ready, automatically repeat. We want to hurt them. You really do. But I think we might be a bit too late. If we increase resistance, start some kind of revolts or something, well, it might change a thing or two if it's not way too late. Okay, 2 more production units. Good for us. Europe streams. Monthly population increases by 63%. What is actually our population? Can we see it? Skilled workforce, 87.96 million. Slaves are lowering. What about this thing? 37.4% complete. Well, it's growing, so we'll see if it gets to some other places. Better military professionalism. Okay. So if you finish these, Let me get the Sperrpanzer Luchs. Our armored cars will have increased suspension capability, so they can carry heavier weaponry into combat to fill fire support and anti-tank roles. So breakthrough and soft attack are the same. Max speed is significantly increased. Piercing is the same. Fuel usage defense is increased. Armor is increased. Okay. Well, it's looking good, so let's research it. And we get a better military professionalism. Yes, sir! Those two words seem to be the ultimate lesson in the history of military theory. It is not the quality of guns or weaponry that make an army, but the discipline. Those men that hold until the death because of a command will be the ones to claim victory. In a world of absolute war, of brave new weaponry, it seems we often forget that simple fact. An army cannot function without those two words. Luckily, anti-corruption programs in the army and new boot camps have brought our army one step closer to the ultimate goal of Spartan valor. No longer will our men defect or serve political masters. They will serve the generals and nothing less. So we managed to reach the Esprit de Corps, which is the highest one that we can get. Division organization increased by 15%, Navy organization by 10%, Air attack and defense increased by 7%, agility increased by 7%, division recovery increased by 15%, attack and defense by 7.5%, planning speed and max planning by 10%, and special forces capacity multiplier increased by 10%. Amazing. So this is the second one that we have seen improve, but this one is really the best we can get. There's nothing above that. Okay, it's 1st of October. We're back to 80.1. The game is throwing me. And the real GDP growth has dropped. Pride of a worker. Hey, that's a good one. In front of a conglomeration of steel and churning smoke, Speer quietly stood, having waited for over 10 minutes for the train to arrive in Germania. People already began to crowd around and wait, and even a few news reporters wanted to be the first to get an interview. With him? With the train driver? Really, they were so nosy. But regardless, he was satisfied. Progress was going smoothly, and he had little doubt the project would be finished, considering how the future seemed peaceful and prosperous for the Reich. Yes, the high-speed rail was one of the first of many projects to drag Germany out of the depths and to re-establish their image as innovators. Naturally, he wouldn't be included among them as the patron of such innovation. The railway got him thinking about his own projects, after all, and he even took a bit of inspiration from its design purpose. Clean, purposeful efficiency, one that could be easily draped with ideological inspiration. In but a moment, the busybody of the station was added onto with another set of metal screeching against the rails, accompanied by the hurried walking and talking of people and the transportation of goods between other trains. When everyone could see the sharp design of the bullet train coming into view, people cheered and clapped. Speer added his own clapping, satisfied with how neatly the train stopped, and waited patiently for the train driver to exit. Once he did, he approached the man and shook his hand, and already the questions came flying. But Speer had only one thought in his mind: another son of Germany provides for their country. So GDP growth has increased by 0.25. Progress of the Reichsschnellfahrstrecken program will increase by 0.15%, bringing it to 1.95%. Each province covered by the Reichsschnellfahrstrecken program will gain an increase in railway level, state GDP growth, and infrastructure level. Cool. So that means we are at 40% now, or no, 49.2. Okay, well, I wonder if these red lines are going to spread everywhere. We'll see. So come on, Europe's dreams. then we can continue. Okay, done. Now the Volksaktien. I've done it. For the first time in nearly 40 years, Germany's economy is free. The cartels are dismantled, their executives on the run, their wealth in our hands. Once again, the entrepreneur can innovate and start up a business without being coerced into selling out. The working man can earn a decent wage in a healthy work environment, and most importantly of all, the slaves will suffer and die no longer at the whims of cruel overseers and soulless men in suits. The only issue that remains is that of corporate assets acquired by the state. Our continued ownership will only lower their profitability and potential. We should sell them off to the Mittelstand on the cheap and be rid of them as soon as possible so that they don't continue sponging up our money. Hope for this initiative. Let's call it Volksaktien. That's nice and patriotic. We'll have the Mittelstand putting them to better use than their old owners. So are we going to privatize them? I smell a huge amount of money coming. Tap to GDP. Well, every time we pull it down, it just goes back up with these things. Europe's dreams. Think, my Führer, Erhard started, turning his head away to blow smoke through a window. Consider the consequences of forcing Zollverein to remain dominant of the Reich. If we do that, all we're setting ourselves up for is a future failure of our sphere. His words stung cruelly, and Speer relented on uttering a swear before turning to look to Helmut Schmidt. And you? Speer asked, voice tightened somewhat. Schmidt nodded politely, then showed a hand towards Erhard. He's right, my Führer. If we decide to not liberalize the Zollverein, then we'd be running a risk of eventually turning the members turning against. Then we would be running the risk of eventually turning the members against us. There's a typo. Just look at Japan and its sphere as an example. The tensions between the members and Japan are palpable. Was Speer really hearing this? Now 2 of the 4 members of the gang were nearly directly coercing him into following through with their demands. And if he decided to raise a voice, protest, then only the obvious would have followed. Letting the air in the room stay thin for a few seconds more, he finally decided to speak. Erhard, he stated, turning his gaze to the man, let's say we do liberalize the Zollverein. In the future, what's to stop them from dreaming about detaching themselves from the Reich? To pursue a light at the end of the tunnel. After all, if we are so benevolent now, then the implications would be that we can continue to be benevolent for the future, and this would not bode well for the Reich. Erhard's eye narrowed, and his teeth grazed against the skin of the cigar just a little bit harder. Taking it out of his mouth, he sighed. My Führer, you have it backwards. I understand that you hold a more traditionalist position on this, but it doesn't mean that everyone that isn't the Reich is unreasonable. But for exactly the reason you initially described is why they would not leave us. Speer leaned back, stare softening almost slightly. After all, what did they gain out of leaving a mutually beneficial partnership? Pride? Erhard shook his head. They already lost that a while ago. They would have only to gain by staying, and nothing by losing. This, he paused, taking a puff of his cigar, would only happen if you let this reform pass. An air of silence passed between them for many seconds. Both men in front of the Führer wondered what he planned on staying. Both men in front of the Führer wondered what he planned on. It's probably saying, not staying, before he pushed his chair back and stood up. The expression on his face spoke 1,000 words. Herr Erhard, Herr Schmidt, you are both dismissed. I will be busy. So the payments to the Zollverein budget will increase by 5%, and our payouts decrease by 10%. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. So let's see. Okay, so the poverty rate change is skyrocketing, meaning it increased by 0.4, 0.04 actually, not 0.4. But hey, that's still good. Real GDP growth is still, the inflation is really high again. The variation, oh wow, the variation is still green. Okay, maybe I'm too harsh. Please stay at sub 8. Because you can very much go to 10%. That wouldn't be good for anyone, really. Really, I mean it, that wouldn't be good for anyone. 49.2, still 49.2. Okay, so let's hope that's gonna be privatization that we can capitalize on, meaning we can get some money. And now let's go for all. 3 billion. With all the corporate assets we've seized and sold in recent months, we've accumulated quite a healthy liquid reserve. I foresee such potential in this. Infrastructure, welfare, education, public works, the Wehrmacht. We have enough to fund whatever we so please. The last time we received such an influx of capital was during the days of the war economy, when the here looted and pillaged like a pack of barbarians, and we all know where that led us. With that in mind, I believe we have the perfect thing to invest in, the Zollverein. Our member states are still painfully under-industrialized, impoverished and backwards. As the leader of this customs union and the foremost economy of Europe, it is our responsibility to offer direct economic aid. There is a certain justice in using the ill-gotten gains of slavery to heal the nations from whence those unfortunate souls were stolen. Perhaps, in time, this will soothe the wounds of war. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy the means. So, the surplus wealth we have gained in the course of Erhard's reforms will be invested back into the Zollverein, increasing GDP growth across the board. We will spend 3 billion. Regime stability will decrease by 5%, but everyone in the Zollverein will gain a growth of 1.15% of GDP, and we of 1.5%. And that's 14 others, so that should be, for example, even the Militarbezirk. Oh no, Militärstaat Madagascar. Militarbezirk is Rusland. 14 days. Volksaktieren. Water rate will begin to improve. Ludwig Erhard felt happy that, for once, it seemed like things were looking up for Germany, and not in a way that needed the deaths of non-Germans, or the workings to death of slaves and their labor contributing to a rotting economy. No, now that was going to be a thing of the past, something to be looked at in shame. At least, he hoped, that's how history would treat it. Whatever road it would go didn't matter in the moment. However, as he looked over an analysis of who owned what in Einheitspacht, a chuckle escaped his lips as he took a puff from his cigar. Before, entire regions of Germany and its partners would be shaded in solid colors. But now only one color dominated the battlefield, and those 4 megacorporations that were left were reduced to nothing but small dots and sometimes even stripes to indicate conflicted ownership. Staring at the map for a moment longer, Erhard nodded to himself. With his economics plan put into full force, he knew that the people, and most importantly the middle class, would thrive from this change of pace. When Erhard eventually left his office, he took a slight detour and made sure to pass where Speer was currently residing, just to take a look at the man's expression. With only a quick stop by the door, he could glance at the man shuffling papers, his face showing only uncertainty. Erhard felt satisfied with what he saw, and left before Speer could notice the minister lying about. With another puff of the cigar, Erhard smiled to himself. "I'm far from finished, Herr Speer. Far from finished." Okay, the French Republic has beaten the French state in the chaos of the French Civil War. So the French resistance is winning. The the liberalists won, and they are now fighting the fascists. We still have a decent chance of winning. It's 18 against 16 divisions, but they are fractured and in many places and most likely will be encircled and destroyed. We'll see. But it looks like the French resistance is winning this. Well, we can see Ukraine jumping to 13 billion. That's really good. We finished the main battle tank. And the field hospital 4. Good, good, good. So, you can research me. Well, we still don't have enough experience points to even think of those. So, let's research the advanced artillery. Lightweight artillery capable of being broken down for transport, making it possible to bring artillery support to areas previously difficult to reach. So we get modern light cannon, modern AFV cannon, modern piercing infantry support gun, modern main battle tank cannon, and modern heavy cannon. Modern super heavy cannon, advanced artillery weapon, advanced artillery armament, improved heavy artillery weapon, improved high velocity cannon. Okay, so those are really useful. And the other one is going to research us. Well, I guess the engineer company, because that's gonna give us entrenchment. And that's not bad for defensive purposes. So let's do that one. The development and implementation of armored military engineering vehicles will significantly improve the scope of what our engineer teams can accomplish while in the field. So extra attack and defense in urban, fort, and river fight. And the tanks get the same, but instead of 5, 7.5%. Good, 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 good. Which reminds me, can we... Wait, Navy. We got the sub. And I wanted to see the Mechanized Division. We got this done. We got 20. So what did I want? I wanted the medevac company. And I wanted to switch you to the armored engineers. And the artillery was supposed to be changed for the air assault. And then we're done. Okay, so all we need now is 10 XP points, and we can start turning our tank divisions into that. Actually, I'm thinking that we're gonna disband 2 more divisions here, and from 21st and 22nd Army create 3, 21st, 22nd, and 24th, each having 4 divisions, and having the 3rd general there. Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna disband 2 more divisions. And I'm gonna take 2 divisions from here and 2 divisions from here. And put you under the command of Ferdinand Maria von Sanger und Etterwein. We can give the combined armor, combined arms expert, motorized and mechanized. No, let's give you the Panzer expert. And you are going to be 21st Mechanized Army. You are going to be... Actually, no, let's make it 32nd. So 31st, 32nd, and 43rd. Military and infrastructure investment, as usual. overall. And then made in Germany, and we're gonna let that one for the next episode. So let's do that one next, but let's just see. GDP growth should now jump to about 12.5%. No. Still 11. Ah, that's fine. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode where we are going to finish the tree here. We're still going to do the social market eventually, but I'd like to lower the debt. Oh god, we spent so much money. I'd like to finish that one first, and then we're gonna turn back to the... No, first we're gonna do this one, then we're gonna finish the Luftwaffe, and then we're gonna pick this one off. And I think that's pretty much it. These ones, meh. I mean, we can do them at the end, but we'll see. And with 4 army experience, we're getting very close to finishing the mechanized template, after which we're going to turn the 3 armies into that template, and we're going to start designing the new main battle tank. Looking forward to that one. Was it the VO part actually? I don't think... No, this one is Kyler, then there's the VO part 2. Kyler, huh? Interesting.